Hello, hello. Welcome to the first episode of the new program, Beyond Consulting. It's a program where we are aiming at interviewing people that have been working with strategy in global roles all over the world to understand how did you get there? If this has been your dream since you were a baby, some people dream about being firefighters, models, soccer players. You dreamed about being a CSO. We don't know. We have weird people in the world, or better to understand what kind of career track you had and what kind of recommendations you can give for people that not only are working on the field, but also can use some of the tools and insights that people that work with strategy have to leverage their own jobs. So with no further ado, I'm here with Fayat. So Fayat, tell me, who are you after 5 p.m.?
Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah, yeah.
we'll first thing first. Hello, everyone, and it's my pleasure being here today with Fitchy. Not sure how much useful this podcast would be. Just joking. It's gonna be. Fitchy told me it's gonna be amazing. The Fayad after 5 p.m. Who is that person? Well, the nitty gritty of me is that, like, truly, I like to sleep. Yeah. So 5 p.m. is sleeping Fayad, but I have an excuse. I just like 3 months back, I became a father, so it's like those tiring evenings now, and not just
Congrats,
evenings.
congrats.
Thank you. So I'm like, I have a second job, to be honest, being a
Mhm.
father. So Fayad after 5 p.m. and before 5 p.m. as a father. So this is the first
Mhm.
one. Second thing is that I like music. So I play
Okay.
guitar, drums. This is my passion. For the past 3 years, I started to enjoy snowboarding. So it's not the 5 p.m. Fayad, it's the vacation Fayad and the weekend
Mhm.
Fayad since last 2 weeks. What else? Oh,
Surfing, you're also been
yeah,
surfing.
I do. Well, I did. Technically, I did. So I started in Portugal, actually. Just shoot me in DM and I'll send you the contact of the surf.
Are you getting a referral from this or what?
Shh, don't tell anyone.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and I surfed in Dubai. It was since I was living there for 1.5 years, but I think we're going to jump into that a bit later. Now it's -10 in Russia. It's snow. The only surf that I have is the local surf coffee. We have a coffee shop named Surf Coffee. And this is the only surfing that I have now.
It's like in the surf coffee, it's like what?
The concept is about surfing. You even have a surfing license. It's like a discount program. So whenever you have a coffee, they put a stamp on your surfing license. They even call it surfing license. Yeah, and you have like the 10th coffee for free or something like that.
Oh my God, you're such a hipster. You're such a hipster.
Yeah, I
You know,
didn't bring my hoodie today. Sorry.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But like, if for the ones that cannot see Fayad, I just want to describe his looks. He has like long hair. He has like a big beard. The only thing that he's missing to be Fayad as typical hipster guy is to have like these glasses, you know?
Shit, where are my glasses? Do we allow to say such words like shit?
You can say whatever you want. You can say whatever you want. I already know like this one that it's not gonna be like PG-13, so I'm probably gonna flag on Spotify so we're safe.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I even have made the mustache look like I'm not sure how it's in English. We have it in Russia. They call it gusare. So gusare, it's like the national, it's one of the national looks and people in Russia back in the empire years. So I mean, you can describe it your own. So they do it like that. You see?
Yeah, it's kind of like this mustache that it starts to like in the end to do some circles, like some rounds.
Yeah. So this is
It's
the new
super
style.
strange.
Unfortunately, I don't have it right now, but yeah, that's my new style at the moment.
Yeah, I would say he thinks unfortunately, I'm pretty sure he's I thinks otherwise.
It was actually her idea. So
It was her idea,
yeah,
really.
it was. It was.
We're gonna have to double check this information. I don't know. I don't know. I can't push it.
Yeah. And I think the last thing I would share about 5 p.m. Fayad is that I'm a bit weird guy in that sense. I love anime. So I'm a big fan of Naruto. I'm currently on the 736th episode of One Piece.
Oh
Um,
my God.
can you believe it? Like,
I cannot.
I
I
mean,
stopped in 600 a few years back, and now they're relaunching the series without the fillers, so it's gonna be easier. This is what I'm waiting for,
without the fillers. That's
and you
what I
can see, like even like entire seasons.
think. Pretty much.
Yeah, but the thing like that always annoys me when I was watching One Piece is that you skip like the first minutes because it's the recap.
Yeah.
Then you skip like the intro because it's like
Yes.
you know the intro. You already lost like 3-4 minutes. Then you have the episode, and then you have like this. So you
Yeah.
lost like 5 minutes, and then you have like the ending. So pretty much from a 30 minutes episode, you have what, 10 minutes of content?
Exactly. So the good thing is that when somebody is hesitating to watch anime, you just can tell him that you can actually skip half of it. So if it's 1000 episodes, in reality, it's like 400, 300 with the fillers and all the things that you can skip. So it's not that bad. You don't
Oh
lose
my.
much time.
You're like 300, 400. You're saying like it's nothing, you know?
Anyway, yeah. So that's me, I guess.
Okay. So just to introduce like how we know each other, when I decided like to start working abroad, I I was still like back in Brazil, and then I saw like this position. My friend told me, "Oh, we have this company called Bolt, like it's in Estonia." I said, "Where is Estonia?" And then she said, like, it's cold, but it's in Europe. I said, like, okay, let's give it a shot. Then I've met Fayad, like in the interview process. He was my hiring manager. He was my boss for a year before he abandoned me. And then we really, were hurt for his absence because he has like a really amazing energy. He was one of the best bosses that I had. But I recall like our first like introduction, our first meeting.
Okay.
I looked at this guy and I would say he's unique. He's unique. He has like a different lifestyle. He's like crazy smart, crazy smart.
Are you describing me actually?
I am. And he's like crazy humble, crazy humble. One of like the sweetest persons that I have met. So I met him. I fell in love. I said like, oh my God, this guy is so cool. You know, like when you're applying for a position, you don't apply only for the company. You apply mostly for who you're going to be working with. So I
Yeah.
said, let's go for it. And I also heard like from some other people that I had a similar impact on him, even though you lost my interview. Yeah,
I
you don't remember, right? You just forgot.
but I wrote you back on WhatsApp. I actually found your number on WhatsApp, texted you that, hey man, I'm sorry. But yeah, I don't remember how. It just was a lot of work. And you know, when you don't have like those messages popping up that you have like a an interview or something, you can miss it easily. So yeah, that was a crazy one. But I want to share one thing from the interview is that not even from the interview. Like before you got to the interview, I think you were doing some homework before the interview with me, and you submitted the PowerPoint presentation.
Mhm.
And the first slide, and I saw the first slide of it, and I was like, "What the heck is this person?" Like, I was super curious to talk to you. And the second one was like, "Is he applying for a job or he's like chilling around? Like, what kind of person?"
He's not in Tinder profile, you know.
Because it was like his nerdy picture of
You
him.
mean
Like,
nerdy.
you look like a hipster nerd.
I know, I
On
know.
this slide, you wrote that you are proud to be a father of 3 kittens. And I was like, this is the most important information that I need to know about the person that I'm interviewing. So yeah, that was fun. That was fun. But yeah, I will not tell much about how I enjoyed working with you. I think it's gonna be like we're not gonna fit in a 1 hour podcast. But that was
Oh,
definitely a pleasure and a person who you remember for the rest of the life. So yeah.
oh man. He's so sweet. He's so sweet. Let's not get too emotional, or I'm also gonna cry. We have to pretend that this is like business, because like after all, this is like a strategy discussion with two global strategy experts, which are really fitting to this consulting. So I know you work like in many countries, you work in many different industries. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Sure. So let me quickly guide you about my career path. It feels like an interview, you know, like
This is
outside of
like
it,
as an interview, it's just like
it's an
it's
interview.
our job
It is
interview.
actually an interview, right? So basically, when I was on my last year of university, the bachelor degree, so I decided that I need to start working, and then I got into Deloitte. So Deloitte, for those who doesn't know, it's one of the big four companies, the audit consulting firms that basically dominates the market in the auditing service, advisory, forensic, and stuff like that. So I got into financial advisory, and to be pretty much specific, I was in the financial due diligence,
Mhm.
which is covering one of the parts of the merger and acquisition deals. So basically, my job was to identify financial risks for our clients who were either selling companies or buying companies and help them to get the fair price for their assets. Basically, looking at their financials, at the EBITDA, working capital, net debt, and so on and so forth. We made some fair calculations of those parameters that are used in the closing of the deal. Basically, risks and how much you pay for the asset.
Okay,
And I
one
was
more
doing,
question before
yeah,
you go like too much because like there's like a lot to unpack here.
go ahead.
What you were studying in the university before you got into Deloitte?
Sure. So basically, I was studying international economics at one of the universities in Moscow. So I'm from Russia, basically. Half of me is Russian, half of me is Syrian. I was studying in one of the leading economical universities in Russia, international economics, which basically covers more the economical relationship between countries and businesses on cross-border transactions. That what
Mhm.
I was studying. And to be fair, that I wasn't studying finance, like the pure finance. So the industry where I got is a bit different from what I've studied in the
Mhm.
university. But at the same time, when I was at the second year of my study, I realized that finance is something that I'm interested in more, like the deep
Mhm.
finance. And I started basically deep diving in that. So I started for the CFA exam. I went for consulting case studies and mostly covered finance part there. I was studying for the ACCA.
What is
So
ACC and CFA for those that don't know?
CFA is Chartered Financial Analyst. This is a
Mhm.
very famous exam in the finance world. So basically, if you want to get to investment banking, if you want to get in private equity and stuff like that, this is or in portfolio management, investment portfolio
Mhm.
management, this is the paper that you should pursue.
Okay.
And the second one was ACCA. ACCA is basically Association of Chartered Certified Accountants. Basically, it is more, those are the stereotype about it, that it is more for people in accounting.
Mhm.
But to be honest, it has a very broad, a lot of different topics that they cover during the study for the ACCA.
Mhm.
Yeah. So two things, the major two papers in finance is the CFA and ACCA based on whatever like specialization you want to pursue.
Okay. And you
So
got this one like in the end?
So the CFA, when I studied for the paper, I didn't get it because I didn't go to the exam. So I was studying the materials, but the exam
Mm.
costed me a lot and I was a poor student, you know. Back in the time, it was like 1.5K dollars for one
Oh
paper.
my god.
Yeah. And you need to have three to finish everything. So that one, I just studied for it and it helped me a lot during the interviews and
Mhm.
in my career. The ACCA, I got there are, I think, 12 basic papers and 6 additional papers. You need to double check that. So basically, there are like a lot of papers. So out of that,
Mhm.
I got 5,
Mhm.
the 5 papers. So there's like a topic, you study it, you go to the exam, you get a paper. So during my work at Deloitte, we were actually forced to pursue this paper. And yeah, so it was about reporting, accounting, some basic economics and stuff like that. So yeah.
Mhm. Okay, thank you for the context. One other question that I had is that can you give an example? Because financial advisory, I would say for anyone that is outside of the field, looks like this monster that is gonna like hide either under your bed or like the wardrobe. Because you go like there and they say like, and you have a beta and you have like so many fancy words and people got lost.
Yeah.
Give an example of like one thing that you have flagged when you were doing these financial due diligences, or one thing that you were looking for in a company. Don't have to give names, but just something to illustrate it a little bit more.
I can start with an easy example,
Mhm.
like the most easiest thing that you can mention in financial due diligence. So, for example, imagine that you are the consultant and your manager gives you a task to analyze the company's revenue.
Mhm.
So basically, company A wants to buy company B. and you are analyzing the revenues of company B.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever you are doing that, you are asking the target company, which is acquired, give me a breakdown of the revenue by clients, by regions, by products, whatever like breakdown you need.
Mm-hmm.
Give me like monthly dynamics, yearly, annual dynamics, and stuff like that. So what do? You get raw data. You just analyze the data, like basically build charts and so on and so forth. And you
Mm-hmm.
try to identify what was happening in company's revenue for the past 2 or 3 years, why it was growing, why it was going down, and stuff like that. And for
Mm-hmm.
example, whenever you are analyzing the revenue, one thing that you potentially can as a risk is that 70% of companies' revenue is generated from one customer,
Mm-hmm.
meaning that if a company buys company B and it will lose this customer,
Mm-hmm.
70-80% of the revenue would be exposed to a risk of losing this, and you need to switch to a different customer. So that would be one of the examples of the stuff that I
Okay.
was trying to check. This is the easy part.
Doesn't look like anything in financial advisory of mergers and acquisitions during the financial due diligence has anything easy.
Yeah. It's actually fairly easy. It's just you get data and you crunch it and you flip it in different ways to find some trends or issues, I would say like
Mm-hmm.
that. And then you have the boring part, but for me, the boring
Yeah.
part, but the part which is not easy.
Uh-huh.
For example, you are analyzing companies' debt structure.
Mm-hmm.
So companies can have loans, can have
Mm-hmm.
different types of money borrowing from companies and people and banks and so on and so forth in different ways. When you acquire a company, you should not pay for its debt. So you just deduct the debt from the price. So the company, for example, worth 1 million, but out of this 1 million, they have 900,000 of debt. So you don't want to pay this to the final target.
Mm-hmm.
And now there's a question. What would be considered debt? So a lease,
Oh,
is it a debt or no? Like when you lease an equipment. And then you have different types of leasing programs. You have the
mm-hmm.
operational lease, the financial lease, and so on and so forth. And now the tricky part is to identify the fair value of those leases
Mm-hmm.
and to understand whether you should pay for it or no to the target. There are a lot of accounting stuff that tells you exactly how you should treat this or that debt or asset and the deal price. So what
Okay.
things you should pay for and what things you should not pay for. And it's regulated by accounting rules. And you need to
Mm-hmm.
know that in order to advise the client on how you basically account for these things in the deal price. And
Mm-hmm.
that is the hardest part because on the other hand, you have accounting rules. On the
Yes.
other hand, there are a lot of rules that you need to know. Yeah. And some rules are tricky in the sense that you need to apply business sense to understand which rule to get to use. Finance for me, usually it's like 80% structured knowledge that you just apply without thinking twice. And the rest is the business sense where it gets trickier. So for example, in strategy, it's vice versa. I think 80% of strategy is based on the logic, business sense, and stuff like that. And the 20% is data that you support that
Mm-hmm.
or vice versa. So it's just a big shift between where you need to think twice or no. And
Okay.
that is
Okay.
the
Okay.
biggest shift was the biggest shift for me when I switched from finance to strategy from a very structured field to very unstructured field.
But why did you do like the shift? Like for you, it was too structured and you got bored, or it was life that just led you there? How did it happen if it's that different? Let's say 180.
So basically, when I spent at Deloitte almost 6 years,
Mm-hmm.
I grew up there to be a manager. So it's like in the middle of the career ladder. So basically, after the manager, we have senior manager, director, and partner. And I
Okay.
was
What did
basically
you have before manager? What is the position?
before
So
manager. So the ladder is basically the following. You can start as an intern, for example. Then
mm-hmm.
you have consultant. it has 3 grades. First
Okay.
year consultant, second year consultant, third year consultant. Then you
Okay.
have senior consultant, which is basically like 2 or 3 grades, depends on the company. After senior consultant, you have a manager.
Mm-hmm.
Then you go manager, senior manager, director, and a partner.
Okay.
So that's how it's structured. So I was basically, I was promoted to be a manager. I spent as a manager for 1 year, and then I just got bored, to be honest. I got bored. I even got bored before being a manager, but I had one motivation why I still working at Deloitte. It's
Salary?
personal passion. So basically, I was a big, I'm still a big fan of Australia as a country. Since ninth grade, I was willing to move there for job, for education. And since Deloitte is a big network across the globe, there was an opportunity for me to move to Australian office of Deloitte. So I contacted the HR when I was a senior consultant. I contacted the Australian HRs of Deloitte saying that, hey guys, you see, I'm this smart guy. I want to join you here in Australia. I had a big, how you say it in English?
Ego?
Ego. Yeah, exactly. I still have an ego, but I got a bit down to earth now since a life happened. So basically I reached out to them and they said, well, we don't relocate senior consultants. We need you to be a manager and then we can talk. And I had this motivation to be a manager, be able to go to Australia. So I was basically in Moscow, got the manager, and I got bored. Like in that sense, I got really bored. So even Australia didn't motivated me to be to stay in the company because of several things. First thing is that when you work in financial advisory, you cannot see the real impact that you are providing.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, your work stops on the presentation that you submit to the client. You guide him through your executive summary.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever happens next, you don't know. You can
Okay.
just know it from the newspapers. Basically, the deal happened or the deal was closed. But
Oh.
how it went after the due diligence, you don't know. And
Mm-hmm.
that was basically something that demotivated me. So for what I'm working, I don't see the real impact. That was the first way. Second thing is it's honestly the working hours because it was pretty tough. I remember my longest work day. It actually went for 2 days.
2 days in the office?
I was working almost nonstop at the office for 36 hours with a 2-hour nap break. Yeah. It
Why?
happened. It happened once, but
It's
that's the,
one
yeah.
time is already way too much.
But that's just the tough hours. And I mean, I enjoyed it back in the time because you are learning a lot of new stuff. You are working with amazing people, and you are still in the beginning of your career. You have this lot of energy. I didn't had like, I don't know, a wife, a kid, or a dog, or anyone else. The people with whom I even went out of work, like were for, I don't know, for a beer, are the same people with whom I'm working. So I'm basically working with, let's say, kind of friends. Anyway, I had a lot of energy to do that and I don't regret it. It
Mm-hmm.
was a lot of working hours and that impacted me later on whenever I started to think about my future career steps.
Of
Working
course.
hours are the second big thing that pushed me out from the financial advisory.
Mm-hmm.
And the third thing is that finance is really boring. It's very structured and it's like finance can be fun, but no, it cannot. Just
No, it's not.
Just kidding. Yeah. Just kidding. Anyway, it was boring in the sense of my job. Every project that I had, it
Yeah.
was similar to the previous one. So the only thing that changes pretty much is the company name, the industry that you're analyzing,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it. You are still analyzing the revenues. You are still deep diving in the balance sheet stuff like the assets and
Got it.
liabilities and blah, blah, blah. Even like the structure of the report is the same that you are providing to the client. It changes the name, the company's assets, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever you are like, I had over 50 plus projects, 50, yeah, 50 plus projects. And
Wow.
whenever you have that much projects, which are more or less similar to each other, you start to get bored.
Of course.
Uh, and I
One,
was thinking,
yeah.
yeah,
I don't know. One curiosity that I have is like, is the pay enough to compensate this? Because
no,
sometimes like, I would say like in most like American, like when people they think about these companies, they
Yeah.
always have like this, oh, you're gonna make like so much money. Do you actually like make enough money?
Okay. So the short answer is no, but there are tricks. Like you, we need to clarify the answer. So in the finance world, there is the big four companies like Deloitte, PwC, EY, and KPMG.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is the first block of the financial advisor, finance related companies. Then you
Mm-hmm.
have investment banks, for example, like the Goldman Sachs, the JP Morgan, and so on and so forth. Like you can
Mm-hmm.
consider them as a second block. The
Okay.
third block, you can think about private equity firms like BlackRock, Sequoia Capital, and that kind of things.
So you
Oh,
got bored and
yeah,
after.
I got bored. And what happened next? What happened next is that I went on a vacation with my wife, and we were talking about like, what do I want to do? And I was like, well, that would be really cool to work in tech and some startup where you can build some product, where you can innovate, where you
Mm-hmm.
don't live one day the same as the one before. And believe it or not, the next day after we went back from our vacation, Bolt reached out to me saying, hey, do you want to try out in our business analytics department? I was like, wow, it's a sign.
Yeah.
Somebody, and that's how I basically caught to Bolt. They reached out to me on LinkedIn. I didn't post anything on LinkedIn back in the time. I just had a profile. I didn't state that I'm looking for a job. I didn't apply anywhere back at that time. They just reached out to me. We had a couple of rounds of the interview process, the homework, and so on and so forth. And I think like 1 month of the whole hiring experience, I
Mm-hmm.
got the offer to join Bolt in their talent HQ. So that's how I moved from Moscow to talent. And that's how we
Okay.
met eventually.
But I would say like a lot of people, like depending on the region that they're hearing us from, like they don't know Bull and they also don't understand like business analytics. I have seen like so many questions and mostly like depending on the tech companies that you are, people think that business analytics is the same thing as data analytics. So they
Mhm.
ask you to like Looker dashboards. So can you
Mhm.
just like do a quick intro? What is Bull
Yeah.
and what is BA?
Okay. Just a disclaimer. I still believe that business analytics was not the proper name of our team. Just to be clear. Sorry, Mario. If you're hearing this, that's my honest opinion. I hope
It's
nobody
okay.
gets. She's a good man. What is Bolt? I joined an international startup which is involved in several business streams. The major one is ride hailing business, which is the caps that you're using to get from point A to point B.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the other streams are basically micromobility, which are the scooters, like the ones that on two wheels or short trips, and the car sharing.
Mm-hmm.
The third stream was the food stream, delivery and food. So basically, it's the business of Glovo, it's the business of how you call it, the Germany one, Delivery Hero.
Free hero. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So these are the businesses that Bolt was involved in, and the major one was the ride-hailing business, which is that was dominating the P&L, I would say. The company is Bolt. It operated in, I guess, back in the time in 40 plus countries. HQ is in Estonia. So the founder is Estonian. He has a really cool story of how he funded the business. So whenever you have the chance, just go ahead and check him out. Marcus Vilik, 19 years old guy, dropping, not even entering university, asking for 5,000K and funded his startup. And if you check his LinkedIn, he just only got one company in his there. Yeah, and that's it.
Amazing, amazing. And now like he's running a multi-billion dollar company. And I think that he has our age.
Yes, he is
Or,
actually,
no?
he's my
Yeah.
age. He's my age, I think, or 1 year older. So I'm 30 now. So he's 30, 31, something like that.
This is crazy. I would say like before getting to like these global tech companies, I was used to have managers, like for example, managers around like 30. And this was already like really young. So
Yeah.
30 CEO of a multi-billion dollar, it looks like an exception. It's wild.
But do you feel that you missed something in this life, Fitchy?
I I like the good life, you know. I like traveling, I like eating, I like drinking.
Yeah.
I would love to be the kind of person. And I think that when I was like beginning of my career, early stages, I started like my first internship was in tech. I worked for 4 years. I was this kind of a person that it's like work hard, play harder, 14, 16 hours. On this moment, I thought that this would be for me. And then
Mm,
I realized that the people that I was looking up to, I had like some friends, and then I admired their careers and how much they were building. And then when I would go out for a beer, they were boring. They had
yeah.
like no personality outside their jobs. And then at this moment, I realized that more than being a CEO or a successful businessman, I prefer to be a good person that has good friends and do things that I enjoy. I think that this is what matters the most. And this is my current understanding of like what happiness feels like in career wise. That's why I'll
So
say like, I don't want to put a lot of time. I want to have like work-life balance. And I don't know one CEO that has work-life balance. You remember there was this article about Bob Iger that for those that don't know, it was the CEO of Walt Disney. I don't know if he still is. And he's like, what he did on Disney a few years back, like 7, 8 years, was a huge turnaround. And he was proud. Like there was this column article on like Forbes saying, I wake up every day at 5 a.m. And the guy is like 50 or 60. And we just thought, if I really make it in life, I'm going to have to wake up at 5 a.m. start working. This is like the result of putting a lot of years for a company.
yeah. There's even like this. It's actually a concept. You know, the 5 a.m. club.
Yeah. These people are, I'm not going to judge because I don't want to be canceled. I would just say like, these people have a different way of living life.
But one thing that I notice is that those successful people, they are so passionate about what they do is that they talk about their job like during lunch, during, I don't know, tennis court play, whenever they have the opportunity, they talk about their job. And that's the thing of when you work with those people, you are either as passionate as them and you can grow really fast because you're putting a lot of effort in that,
Mhm.
or like for example, you're trying to fight the system. And for example, whenever you go for a team lunch, you don't discuss work, you just discuss like random
Mhm.
stuff. And sometimes you are not, so people cannot relate to that. So you either with the system or you're out of the system. That's my personal opinion if you want to grow fast.
Mhm.
And that's why it is really, really freaking important to find the passion, like the things that you're passionate about. Without the passion, I think personally it's really hard to succeed, to go really, really far and fast. But we can jump into that a bit later.
No,
So yeah, where did I leave?
you were mentioning like business. You gave
Oh,
like a quick intro about Boyle, and now you were gonna give like a quick intro about business analytics. And what was
oh,
it?
okay. So I hope now everyone knows Bolt. They Googled it. They already used the service, maybe already waiting for the food.
Hmm?
Business
If you're in
analytics.
Estonia, please order in our honor Gotsu. Do you remember Gotsu?
Oh yeah. The Korean one. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
man.
good.
If I would go back to Estonia at any point of my life, I would eat Gotsu. This is what I miss the most in this country, Gotsu. I love Korean food. I have tried like in out of the countries that I have been, and I've been in I think 20 countries in Europe. I
Yeah.
haven't find anything as good as that goats of fried chicken. Mm.
Okay, if we are doing some advertisement here, I would advise you take pho bo from one of the most famous pho bo Vietnamese food in restaurants in Estonia. Unfortunately, I don't remember the name, but it's somewhere near the old town. So let me actually describe not what is business analytics, but I would basically mention what did we do, since I don't
Yeah,
believe that that was the right name. So we
of
had
course.
several, what did we call it? Domains? Domains, I think.
Yeah. This time we call the domains. Yes.
Domains. So we had a team of, when I joined the company, we were like 4 people.
Mhm.
When I left the company, we were like 10 people. Now they have more. So basically, what did we do? I was responsible in the team for, I would say, two key parts.
Mhm.
One was we called it with Fitchy strategy and research,
Oh yeah,
domain.
that was the name. Yes.
Yeah, strategy and research. Second domain was competitive intelligence. And a sneak peek, after a year at Bolt, I was also covering expansion, international expansion.
What do
So
you mean
strat
that you hire for competitive intelligence?
so
Yeah,
basically
please.
strategy and research, we competitive intelligence, these were my domains. Now, then we had budgeting and reporting domain,
Mm-hmm.
and we had modeling domain, and we had capital allocation. So
Mm-hmm.
to sum up, business analytics structure was the following: strategy and research, competitive intelligence, reporting and budgeting, capital allocation, and modeling team.
Yes.
Now let's decompose and jump into each of those. Strategy and research. So we were actually, my honest opinion, we didn't have a proper scope, but we covered like a broader strategic topics that the management and the leadership was worried about. So I can give
Mhm.
you some examples of the project that we did, and Fitchy was actually responsible for them. So the biggest one, I think, when I was there was the market sizing
Mhm.
exercise. So the market sizing exercise was about sizing the opportunity in each and every country and city that Bolt operated in the ride hailing business to understand where do we see the ceiling of the market. Are we
Mhm.
there? Is there a room for growth, or we just stop investing and cash cow the market? And that was the key, basically, question that the problem that we were solving, identifying the opportunity size. Now, the second thing that we were trying to answer is that if we see that we are still in a very big room of opportunity in the market, what stop us from growing? What
Mhm.
obstacles do we have? And we identify those obstacles like in different ways. So these are the two things that we were solving back in the time:
Okay.
opportunity side and growth blockers.
I want to just do a funny anecdote because I remember that when he was hiring me like for the team, he told me like, so the team, like pretty much that was not a team when he sent me a job description. They were like, we want you, we just don't have a job description. So let us think what we can offer you. And then
Yeah.
he told like, we're gonna hire three senior analysts. And then after, I don't know, like 4 months of you fighting each other, we're gonna choose one of you to be the lead of the domain. And when I got in Estonia, it was not me, it was only me. And then we had this conversation, like, I think it was after my probation. I said, Fayad, it was supposed to be three. There's only one little piggy. Am I the leader? You're gonna put someone else.
Yeah.
This is like tech for you guys. Just for everyone that is outside, like tech, a lot of things change.
Yeah. I think it's the Eastern European way of dealing with these kind of things.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, these are the first domain, the strategy and research. The second domain was competitive intelligence. So in competitive intelligence, what did we do? For us to be able to invest properly in the market, we needed to know how is the competition doing. So we had a lot of different players in different cities and countries. So we needed to know how many trips they're doing, how many drivers are driving with them, how much drivers of competition are earning, what
Mhm.
is their pricing strategy, how do they price. And our job was basically like the vision for the domain was basically to act as an internal consultant to the leadership about the competition. So we were the window the one window, one stop shop to
Mhm.
tell the leadership about how competition is doing and how we need to fight our friends. We call competition friends at Bolt.
Cute.
Yeah. Exactly. So that what we were trying to do. And honestly, we were building everything from almost from scratch, starting from the methodology of how we collect data, how
Mhm.
basically the data transition to the HQ from all the countries. Now, how we aggregate the data to the leadership and what kind of conclusions we
Mhm.
are basically providing to the leadership. So that what were we doing in competitive intelligence. Now, third, and quickly on the third, on the rest of the domains, we have budgeting and reporting. I think it answers for itself. You budget, you report basically to understand how much money you are spending where, how much revenue you get, and you report to the manager. Capital allocation, it's actually a fund department, which basically the key the key problem that they're solving is out of all money that Bolt has for ride hailing, how much money each country need to have. Based on A, B, C, D, they just invent some criteria for that, but they allocate the capital of the company to each and every country based on different parameters. And there was this team, which is called modeling team. It's actually, I'd never seen such a team anywhere before Bolt, to be honest. So their job was basically automate reporting and tools within the company. So if you need, for example, how we utilize them, I need to have a standard reporting sheet in Google Sheets to understand the market share of competition in each country. I go to them and say, can you give me a template that will provide me with market shares of the competition on a weekly level and generate that for 40 countries for 500 or 1,000 cities every week. And their job was to build me the template that will be automated. They were doing like these kind of projects,
Yeah.
which is cool because you don't need to waste your own time on building those templates. You have a special team for that, which are experts in their field. So that is the business analytics. Now we decompose that, but let me give you a quick sum up of what is business analytics purpose. So business analytics, they are the internal consultant for the leadership on various projects and tasks that do not fall into the standard operational flow. So any kind of questions that our leadership is struggling with, you are the internal consultant for them. And whenever I'm on an interview, present the work that we did at Business Analytics in the following way. We, as a company, it's Bolt as a company is a startup that is forced to care a lot about each and every cent they spend. So Bolt has X amount of money, and because this business that they're involved in is a very money investment heavy business, we need to care a lot about how much we spend, about efficiency. So at the end of the day, we're actually solving the investment efficiency issue. And that comes to the capital allocation. So we need to understand how much money we spend in each country. How we know that? We know it from strategy and research, basically understanding the market size and opportunity, answering the question, do we need to spend in this country or no? If the answer is yes, then you go to the next one, competitive intelligence. In competitive intelligence, we say, okay, if you want to win, our competitor is spending in this market X amount of money, which brings X amount of earnings to drivers. And this is the price for the clients. And then you go to the capital allocation saying, hey guys, this is the market opportunity. This is how much competition is spending. Now, are you ready to fight with them money wise and spend more in this market based on what strategy and competitive intelligence told you? And they answer the question whether they're ready to spend and how much they're ready to spend. And whenever they spend, we go and report that to the leadership and ask for the modeling team to support us on the operational stuff. So that's how we do to people.
Okay. Thank you for the context on this one. But I know as well that you have done like some transition, like later when you were at Bolt and you decided like to move more towards like expansion, which is a topic that I think that everyone is always quite excited about because it makes everyone's eyes shine, you know?
Ooh,
One thing is to grow a market. One thing is to grow a product. The other thing is to launch something new.
exactly. And that's why I switched to expansion.
Yeah. Yeah.
So fun fact, the first country that we launched in Bolt under my expansion leadership, let's call it like that,
Yeah.
it was actually Honduras. You're never gonna believe it was Honduras. It was the most unexpected country that you can think about when you launch a new location.
Oh, okay, okay. Maybe he likes both jails and crypto.
That's is not a surprise at all for me if it's the case. So yeah, at some point, like I spent 1 year in this role dealing with strategy, with competitive intelligence, deep dive in some ad hoc stuff, pricing, and so on and so forth. And after a year, I got bored again. You see, I'm
Mm-hmm.
a very quick boarded guy. Uh,
ADHD is the name of it. I already took my medicine.
in Russia, you don't get diagnosed with that. You just look.
Why I'm not surprised.
Yeah. So yeah, and I was trying to get something more excited for me because of several reasons. I joined a startup to see the impact of my work like immediately. I tried to see the immediate impact of my work and not keep spending my job on a paper. Let's put it like that. Eventually, all the things that we did, it helped the company, but you physically you cannot see it. It's just numbers.
Uh-huh.
And I wanted a physical touch to the job.
Okay.
So we were thinking about where I can transit, and Bolt decided that they want to revise their international expansion because they stopped it for a while, and they needed a person to lead that process.
Mhm.
And that's how I ended up international expansion. Basically, my job was the following: to identify where are we going and how are we going there.
Mhm.
That what we did basically. So it was when I started solo as the project manager of the whole stuff. I know that now Bolt has the expansion team, which is like no
It's big.
one knows so many people.
Yeah, I can tell for sure that it's bigger than the one that you had at least when I left almost a year ago.
So I was international expansion lead, and there was a trick to how we did expansion back in the time. As I was saying, Bolt was very frugal and they tried to optimize on the investment side.
Mhm.
So it was really important during the international expansion not to waste money in the trash. I opened 3 countries back in the time, 2 in Latin America and 1 in Asia. And I set the ground for African expansion, which happened right after I left the company. And it was really fun. Like I do
Yeah.
remember my feelings when we launched the first country. It was crazy. It was crazy in the sense that whenever we pressed the button, like the launch the app, every 5 or 10 minutes, I looked at our like heat map, like the map of the service in this city, and was counting the number of cars that I see are going live in the city. Yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
it's like the night before because I imagine that if I was in this position, I
yeah.
would not be able to do this. Just with
Why?
excitement to like press the button,
Uh,
not sleeping at all, just like waiting.
and like the first country was in Latam, the Honduras, and we had a huge time difference there as well. So it was really fun. I think opening one country involved at least 20 plus people working together, like from 6 to 10 different departments.
Mhm.
And you need to align all of them. You need to make sure that everyone is on the right track. Everyone is doing what they promised, and excite people. Because if you don't excite people as a project leader, it's pretty tough to get things done. So yeah, I spent half a year doing that, and it was really fun.
We're gonna have like a second one to deep dive in some of like the most exciting topics after everyone got to know you. I wanted to take like this last 20 minutes just to go over like 2 questions and then you can choose like which one you want to go first.
Go ahead.
You are in Estonia, expansion. So pretty much you are living in cold Estonia, Eastern Europe, leading expansion at Bolt. And then after this, you decide that you don't want cold anymore. You take a half-year gap. You move to Dubai, which cannot be more different than Estonia. And then you join another company in tech to do a similar challenge you had in mind. Can you tell us like a little bit more about this moment, this transition? What led you to do this change?
Sure. Do I get to how is shit? Do I pick the question or do I answer this one? Because you
This is the
started.
question. Yes.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
No worries.
And the second one, I just want to know like some recommendations for people that are starting their careers in strategy or thinking about what they should do if they want to start their careers in strategy, you know?
Okay, okay.
Considering they're already like a senior professional, you know? Fancy
S-
guy.
Yeah.
Fancy. He's
Let's.
been a manager for 20 years already. And he's only 30. He's a manager, like, I don't know, for like 5 or 6 years, and this guy's 30. It's crazy.
Yeah, shit. That's true. Anyway, Dubai. So yeah, there are a few things that motivated me to move to out of Estonia. I would say out of Estonia. Dubai was not the ideal place that I dreamed about, honestly. One of the things was the cold in Estonia. That's true. Like it's not for everyone. And you see who's talking, a guy who was born in Moscow in Russia. He
Yeah.
was complaining about the cold. So yeah,
Crazy.
but I have my second part, which is like the from a warmer country, the Syria, and
Hmm.
feeling the need of a son.
Uh-huh.
So that was the first reason, and there was a few other reasons that I think I will not be able to describe quickly, work related. So let's put it like that: that I made a decision of leaving Estonia and Bolt, and I was looking for, and I decided actually to take like a gap and to understand where should I go next. And it happened in a way that my wife got a job at Dubai, at Deloitte as well, because she's from Deloitte as well.
Is this
And
the reason why you don't regret your time in Deloitte? Because you met your wife? They are like the cutest couple ever, by the way. They're so cute.
trying to be.
I made
And
him shy. I made him shy.
yeah, so she got an offer from Dubai and from Deloitte, and we moved there. It was a period for me to reflect a bit of what I want to do next. At some point of time, a company named Yango approached me with pretty much similar role, but with more responsibility and more instruments of doing international expansion. And that's how I ended up at Dubai working at Yango for the next 1.5 years. So a quick one about Yango is that Yango Group is a group of different kind of services. Major business streams are ride hailing, delivery, fun tech, robotics. What else do they have?
What is fun tech?
Fun tech.
What is fun tech?
Fun tech is like we have the service called Yango Play, which is Spotify and Netflix in one platform.
Okay, okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, like 20 plus services they have. Half of them are AI based. And I got into the ride hailing business there. At Yango, I was head of expansion strategy and planning.
Mhm.
Basically, what I was doing is that I had me and two great guys who were responsible for opening ride hailing service in different countries, but this time using different ways of expansion, starting from
Mhm.
classical launch in a country, like a direct one. Then you have an M&A deals that we were leveraging as entering the country. And we had a franchise as an instrument of entering the country. So I think three major things and a lightweight mode, which is
Mhm.
basically like this VC approach. So
Uh-huh.
four ways of entering a new country that we utilized. That's what I was doing for 1.5 years. And I was covering global, all over the globe. So we opened countries and cities in Asia, Africa, TAM, and yeah, three continents basically, and Middle East as well. I would say it's from there.
Mhm.
So yeah, I joined the company. I worked there for 1.5 years, and fortunately or not, I left this company on the day when my child was born, December. So that's how I transitioned there. That's a quick summary of my career path and what I was doing. No regrets so far. Happy to live the entire journey. I had a lot of lessons, a lot of new people and friends. One of
Mhm.
them are you hear him from the podcast. He's sending me some love. So yeah, it was a good time, but we're still moving on and looking for what will happen next. So yeah. I think that's it.
Exciting, exciting. One last question that I have like for this episode. I wanted Fayat to be the first guest that we have here because I would say he goes quite different from what you would expect from a stereotypical strategy person. I think he has far better soft skills. He understands work-life balance, and I really admire his values work-wise. And I think that this is something that is like really hard to find with someone that works with strategy. So I was hoping that you could tell for people that are starting their careers, for people that are figuring out if strategy is for them or not, some quick recommendations or things that you have learned after all of these experiences. If you could say the top three things that matter the most for you, career wise.
Mm, I see. Let me quickly think about it. It's, to be honest, it's a hard question in the
Of
sense that
course.
it is hard to summarize your last almost 10 years of experience in three recommendations. You're gonna miss anything for sure. For sure.
Yes. In the
Anyway,
next episode, you bring it.
yeah. But what I would mention for sure, what comes to my mind, the first thing is passion. This is the most important thing that you need to have while you are working anywhere, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
finance, strategy, or you are working in a coal mine, anywhere. Passion is what will drive you through. It will help you in the hard times when you need to work long hours or whenever you are stressed out or burned out. Passion will get you out of it, and
Mm-hmm.
it will push you very hard on the good times when you are doing a good job and you basically people feel it. So
Mm-hmm.
good job plus passion is the secret sauce of moving fast and sustainable in the company. So be careful what you wish for. Be careful, yeah, especially in strategy. If you wish to work in strategy, as I said, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Yeah. So passion is number one. Number two, specifically about strategy. As I was mentioning before, there are jobs that where you follow the instruction and you have an instruction, just follow it with a bit steps out of the instruction and it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Strategy is a completely different thing. You need to be prepared that you don't have any guide and anything that will basically make your life very easy. There
Mm-hmm.
is no certain process of how you do strategy. There are different ways how you can approach a strategic question. There are frameworks, there are tools, and so on. But the best and worst part of strategy is the same thing. It's uncertainty. And it basically lays down, at the end of the day, my opinion, on your business sense, on your experience out of work, how much you are self-aware and aware of what is happening around you in business and in people's life, how people think. So it's a combination of a lot of stuff that you as a professional need to aggregate in one and drive business decisions backed with data.
Mm-hmm.
Now, financial advisory is a different thing. There's an instruction, there's everything that you need to know. You have a book, you read it, and now you know how to do stuff. Pretty
Mm-hmm.
much in a very
Uh-huh.
simplified way. So, second thing is be aware of uncertainty and think three, four times before joining strategy in big tech startup. Why? My personal opinion is that startups don't need strategy departments. And that maybe somebody may agree to that, somebody may not. But usually, strategy is the thing that founders do on their own.
Mm-hmm.
They are identifying the direction, they are leading the people. They just need support in terms of, I don't know, markets, research stuff, calculations, and so on and so forth. But the big direction is from the leadership and the founders. So usually strategy is like a strategy department is more useful in a bit more mature companies where there are professional management who are doing day-to-day things and you are advising them on the direction. But usually when you have a founder, especially in the management, he drives the direction. He doesn't need you. He already knows where he want to go.
Mm-hmm.
So be aware of that and 3 or 4 times before joining like strategy startups. And final touches to my answer would be whenever you are choosing a career, it's not actually related to strategy. When you're choosing where to work, it's less about the company and their product, especially on early stages. It's more about the team and the leader with whom you are working.
Mm-hmm.
So look not for a company, look for a manager. Because if you have a great manager who will teach you stuff, who will guide you through the whole process, from whom you can learn on early stages, that is the most valuable thing that you can get on in your 3 to 5 years career, first 3, 5 years career. You can learn things, you can read books and so on and so forth, but you cannot learn, for example, how to be a manager just from reading books. It's an
Mm-hmm.
experience and you learn from other people, and good people is who you need to look for in your career pursuit. So that would be the final touch of my answer.
Amazing. Then just drop the mic. Or if it was like 5 years ago, it would just like fall these sunglasses, like from the, yeah, kind of like look like. Well, Fayad, thank you so much. For one small question is that for people that fell in love with your voice, that fell in love with all of your opinions and ideas, where they can find you, where they can get in touch with you.
In Moscow.
No, yeah, they fly there. Yeah, okay, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, well, I think we can provide some links to my LinkedIn. So basically, the best way to reach out to me is to drop me a DM in LinkedIn. I'm always there. I keep it for professional connections. So yeah, LinkedIn, go ahead, Google me. I'm the only Fayat Ktet who is going to be there. Really easy to find me. Don't hesitate. I answer pretty much to 99% of the people.
Okay, I love that it's easy to find it. Write your name. I'm gonna put the link on the description of the video like afterwards because it's gonna be easier.
Yeah. You know, the fun fact is that in Russian, when you spell out my name in English, it's 5 letters. When you spell out my name in Russian, it's 4 letters. So my first name is 4 letters. My last name is 4 letters, but you cannot imagine how many times people misspelled my name.
Okay, then Fayad, thank you so much for participating in our first episode. It was
Thank
like an
you.
amazing talk. I'm sure we're gonna have like a second part like later down the line to get in touch into just some more polemic topics because what I love the most about you is that you have honest and amazing opinions.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure to speak to you here. And if people got interested, always happy to jump in to different kind of topics and share my not asked view.
Lovely, lovely, lovely.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you so much then. Have a nice day.